Yo, what's up, Facebook, man? This is Lasar, your boy Lasar of Lasar Rising. This is my first video or whatever. I just want to give a shout out to my Facebook family or whatever. I want to give a shout out to everybody in Brooklyn and the tri-state area. I want to give a shout out to all alive and conscious brothers in the world. I say peace, hotep, to all the God bodies, all the goddesses, everybody who understand the truth and who have knowledge of self or whatever. I just want to give y'all a shout out. Today we have reached the pinnacle of the year. We just reached the winter season yesterday or whatever, and it was like almost 50 degrees or whatever. The world is changing, and we see changes all around us. But I want y'all to stay on y'all grind. I want you to stay focused. I want you to stay humble. I want you to keep your eyes open and not go to sleep, because it's easy to go to sleep when you see we are overwhelmed with a majority of distractions. Every day you wake up, you look at the news or whatever, it's just Trump, 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 Trump on every channel. And that could put you to sleep. That almost has like a hypnotic effect. You wake up every day, 365 days of the year, 7 days a week, and it's Trump, 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 Trump. I call it, the whole Trump debacle is like a television show. Remember, Trump was a media personality before he became a president. He had his show, The Apprentice. He was firing people left and right. This man is a media personality, so they understand. He understands how to manipulate the human mind. He understands how to manipulate mass consciousness. So don't be fooled. Don't fall for the distractions, because we can easily be rocked to sleep by nothing but negative propaganda. I want you guys to be on your grind. I want you to keep studying. I want you to keep moving forward, because we got a lot of work to do. We can't be distracted by the Trumps of the world. We had Ronald Reagan. We had Bush Sr., we had Bush Jr., we had the Clintons. All these people, they worked against our interests, our best interests. Black people during the 80s, it was the poorest we've ever seen. And that's what gave rise to the crack epidemic. Because black people were poor, black people were unemployed, and we had to make a way. So many brothers started selling crack. Everybody was hustling. Everybody was trying to live. And so they created an op due to the drug war, to lock so many thousands and thousands of black people up. And those who made it, made it through the biological warfare, the crack era, we are here. And we are thriving, and we are surviving. I'm one of those people who came of age during the crack cocaine era, and during the Wiley era. And I'm alive, and I'm blessed to see 48, almost 50 years of age. So again, stay conscious. Keep reading. Keep on studying about self. Understand self. Understand the greatness of your people, because your people have come a long way. We are the builders of the pyramids. We pioneers in astrology, astronomy, cosmology. We are pioneers at architecture, mathematics, logic, law. We are pioneers at religion. All religion started with the black man. All religious ideology started in Africa. And all of the patriarchs of every religion have been black men. But Europeans, when they got hold of these truths that they keep hidden from us, they whitewashed history. And so you believe your Jesuses, your Buddhas, your Allah, everyone is Caucasian, and it's not the truth. And so here we are today. It's 2018. You still have women, black women, the queens of our race, walking around with blonde hair and blue eyes, bleaching their skin. They're giving their daughters white baby dolls, and their whole beauty aesthetic is patterned after the European. And so they have no knowledge of self. They don't know who they are and where they're going. And because of this, you have You have whole families lost. We have to get back on our grind. All of the nationalities of the planet Earth, the Germans, the Jews, the Arabs, the Asians, everyone knows who they are. Everyone has a distinct history. Everyone has a distinct culture. And they stick to it. And they don't deviate from their culture. And they don't worship gods that don't look like them. The Chinese god, Buddha, he looks like a Chinaman. The Arab god, his whole image is patterned around Islamic culture. The European god, his whole pattern is patterned around European ideology. But the black man in the Caribbean, black men on the continent of Africa, and black men in the mainland Americas, as well as South America, Europe, and the Pacific Islands, they worship a God that don't look like them. They worship a white God. And because of this, we are lost, we are asleep, we have forgotten what we remembered. We have lost our way. And other people profit off of this. They profit off our ignorance of self. They profit when we're divided and when we're fighting amongst each other. They profit when we know not who our enemies are and we fight amongst each other. We must go back to whence we came. We must begin to understand who we truly are so that we can move forward. There is a philosophy called Sankofa. You have to look back and fetch what is in the past in order to move forward. You know, I sit back each and every day and I look at my people and I shake my head and I'm saddened because I'm fully awoke. And there are a couple of thousands of us that are fully awoke. And we have a job to do. If God has graced you with the knowledge or the Most High or whatever you call the Supreme Being, if he has graced you with the knowledge of self, if the shackles of your mind have been broken, it is your duty to enlighten others, to enlighten the children. You have fresh minds coming into this world. You have people with a lot of gifts and talents. They must not be shackled by European ideology so that we can have another generation of people that's lost. We must give them the knowledge that they need in order to progress and have a bright future, because it depends on us. We were once kids, but now we are the elders. And as elders, we must pass on the torch of knowledge so that people won't be in darkness, so that the path can be lit, so that they can know from whence they come and where they are going. You know, I don't walk around with dashikis on and beads and all that, but I got knowledge of self. And whatever I got, I'm going to give the best of myself, because I know once I'm gone and have become an ancestor, I know I passed the seeds of knowledge to someone else that they can also pass it generations and generations and generations into the future. So there is much work to be done. But I have not given up. Although I'm saddened by the state of my people are in dire straits. And the war is being fought right before us, right before our eyes. But yet many can't see, because many have been made deaf, dumb, and blind. They have been blinded by decades of propaganda, decades of subliminal seduction. The media, I call it, or the media is the medium by which propaganda and miseducation have been spread. So the media is the technological arm of white supremacy. And their job is to indoctrinate and to reinforce the knowledge that black people are inferior. Well, it's not knowledge, but they're trying to propagate their ideals. They used to propagate it through film. Well, they still propagate it through film. They propagate it through film. They propagate it through newspapers. They propagate it through books. They propagate it through our educational institutions. And this is how the system continues. The status quo continues. But it's our time, those of us who are woke, we must propagate truth. The truth crushed to the earth, it will rise again like the phoenix out of the ashes. Our youth, they will build the pyramids again. And this is the greatest fear that our enemies have, that we will awaken from the spell and that we will exact revenge. That is not the African way. That is not the way of the gods of the planet Earth. We are the gods of the planet Earth. You know why? Because we gave birth to all the races. We are the original men and women of the planet Earth. And we gave birth to the Asians, the Arabs, the Indians. We gave birth to the Koreans. We gave birth to the Europeans. We are their mothers and fathers. And we gave them the knowledge of themselves. We gave them the knowledge of civilizations. We gave them the knowledge of culture, cutlery, we taught them how to domesticate animals, how to farm the land. Because before that, they were barbaric nomads that wandered the earth in hordes. They were like animals. But we gave them the knowledge of themselves. And we gave them the ability to build civilizations and to settle down. This is why in ancient times, all civilizations had walls built around them, defend themselves or from barbaric hordes. The black man at that time was living in splendor. He was living in great kingdoms in the South. Monopatapa, Timbuktu, Ghana, Songhai, Mali, Kush. These were all African civilizations. And these civilizations rose and fell and rose again and fell. We had six golden ages in Africa, probably even more. From my memory, I'm just pulling out the information. Like 6 golden ages in Africa. Yet the European had 2 golden ages. And the kingdoms of Europe are on the decline as we speak. And we see the rise of Asia and China and the Asians and their kingdoms. We see their rise now because they're propagating their technology, and they're all over the planet in Africa and the Caribbean and South America, and they're building their empire. They have a massive industrial empire. And the Europeans are trying to checkmate their empires by also going to different parts of the planet and setting up military bases. So we see a game of global chess being played all over the planet. But what are we going to be pawns in this global game between the European and the Asians? Or are we going to use this as an opportunity to break free from the shackles of mental enslavement that the Europeans have wrought upon us? And that the Chinese, they're using some type of malevolent imperialism to rock us to sleep so that they can now colonize various parts of Africa. We can't have this. Because Africa is for the Africans. It is ours. We must get rid of all the fake borders that were placed there during the Berlin Conference. All the borders of the various African countries were placed there by Europeans. We must get rid of all the official languages of Africa, which is French, English, Portuguese, Dutch Boers. We got European language that's the official language of various African countries. We must get rid of that. All the official languages in African country must be of African origin. All the borders must be gotten rid of that were placed there by Europeans. In the north, in North Africa, you have the north ruled by Islamic kingdoms, and these are invaders who visited the African continent many centuries ago, and they are still there. And in the south, in South Africa, you have kingdoms that have been invaded by kingdoms that have been placed there by Europeans. So we are encircled. In the north, you have Muslims. In the south, you have Europeans, and in the middle, you have Africans that are still under the Islamic and Christian domination. Our indigenous religions on the African continent, Vodom and Lukemi, they have been crushed to the earth. Our indigenous religions are called fetishes. They call it fetish. They call it demonology. Anything that we have made, the indigenous people of the planet Earth, our enemies say that it is negative, it is evil, but their religion's supposed to free our mind. What enemy do you know gives Africans something that will free their mind and help them to move forward? No enemy. Because the first book that the European ever gave the African was the Bible, unfortunately. And that has been used to pacify the minds of Africans all over the planet, because they propagate the image of God as being a European. And so in the minds of our people, we can't break free and declare our liberation, because when we see the enemy of our people, we look at them and think that they're God, because they got blonde hair and blue eyed. They got the image of Jesus Christ as a blonde hair, blue eyed man. You got the image of Adam and Eve as blonde hair and blue eyed people. And we know that the first man and first woman was not blonde hair and blue eyed, because it tells you strictly in Genesis, it tells you that they walked around and they were naked and unashamed. And there is no place on the planet Earth where you could be naked and unashamed but in Central Africa, where the sun kissed your skin. And it's very steamy, it's very arid. There are waterfalls, there are animals of every sort roaming around in that area. You can look it up yourself. Lake Tanganyika, also known as Lake Victoria. This is a lake in Central Africa where mankind first originated. European scientists even state that they found the oldest bones on the planet Earth in Central Africa. They found the bones of someone they call Lucy. And these bones were 2.5 million years old. Now, according to the Bible, mankind has only been in existence for what they say, 4,000 years? What? Not even 4,000 or maybe 2,000. I'm not sure, but it's a very short time according to biblical records. But the pyramid structures that are in the Nile Valley and our civilizations go back 100,000 years or more. They are still finding ancient artifacts that debunk all history that the Europeans have propagated. They're going to have to rewrite the records. But I want you to know, now I'm going to move in closer, I want each and every one of you to know that is not, according to the Gregorian calendar, we are not in the year 2018. Well, that's according to the Gregorian calendar. According to the African calendar, according to the Egyptian calendar, we're in the year 64. We're in the year 6400. Now, imagine that. They said we're in the year 2018, but our calendar predates theirs by thousands of years. So when you talk about Afrofuturism, the reason that we are far ahead of them mentally and spiritually and psychologically, we are ahead of them. These people are our children. So the reason that many of us remain passive, many of us have high states of spirituality, and we can't directly confront the European with violence, because we have evolved past that level. If we attack the European like they have attacked us, we will be bringing ourselves lower. We will, because the European believes in the law of animals, and that's brute force and violence. We are gods. We don't believe in the law of animals. Our laws are cosmic laws. And if you don't understand that, understand that there are what is it? There's rhythm, gender, duality, and a couple of other laws which I can't recall right now. But there are seven cosmological laws that the black man is in his being to observe. The European is not under these laws. They're under the law of animals. Whatever you see, take it by brute force. This is why when we came in contact with all the peoples of the earth, we civilized them. And once we gave them once we civilized them, they came back many centuries later and came to the motherland and took what was ours. We openly invited these people into our lands. We gave them land because we believed that no man owned the earth. The earth was God's in all its fullness. And if strangers come into your house, we believed that we were supposed to invite them and show hospitality, grant them land if they needed it, and grant them a place to stay. And yes, they stayed. They set up military bases, and they came in using the 3 M's. First, they came in using a missionary. Then they came in using a merchant. And then they came in using the military. And this is how they were able to gain a foothold into Africa and to steal our land, rape our peoples, and enslave them. But we cannot be foolish again. What they said, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on me. But fool me 3 times, well, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on you. Fool me 3 times, shame on me. Let us not be fools. So again, I say to you people, keep studying, keep learning, keep climbing, keep grinding, because we got a lot of work to do. We got to educate these babies. We got to educate our women as black men. Our black women have been indoctrinated to a high degree. Many of them stop believing in us. Many of them don't believe in the truth. When a black man with knowledge spits the truth, women think we bugging out. I'm not bugging out, and my brethren is not bugging out either. We got to sit back on the throne because right now they got the woman on the throne in the right seat where the black man is supposed to be holding a scepter, and the man is at her feet bowing down. And it's not supposed to be like that. And that's why you see a high propensity of homosexuality. You see all these young men lost. They don't know who they are. They don't know from whence they came. Because they ain't have a strong father figure in their life. But you have to take the scepter and you have to sit on a throne. And you have to use everything available to you to maintain character, the poise, to be the best man that you can be, to climb, to shine, and to stand upright as a righteous man. Now, many of you may not, many of you have different philosophies. Some of us may be Kemites, some of us may be Israelites, some of us may be Nubians, some of us may be Christians, Rastas, Bloods, Crips. Whatever your persuasion is, be a man of character and stand on your square. Don't let nobody put you down. Do the best that you can. Be a man of character. Be a man of excellence. This is the end of the year, and I've sat back and I've been very introspective. Have I been ambitious enough? Have I worked hard enough? I have to ask myself these questions. Sometimes I have to talk to myself and say to myself, what is it that you want from life? Where are you going? What are your goals? What are your likes and dislikes? You have to sit back and ask yourself these questions, because if you don't ask yourself these questions, no one is going to answer the questions for you. You have to ask yourself these questions, and you have to answer those questions irrefutably. So I sit back and I pondered to myself. I said, do I just want to be a worker bee, or do I want to be a king? And I say, I want to be a king. I want to be no worker bee, man. Who wants to live a mediocre life? Who wants to live in mediocrity? Be the best that you can be. I know all the time we're not going to be able to carry out everything that we have in our hearts, but just to try. You got to try to see. You got to see what you can do. You might have talents that you may not haven't even tapped into. You got to try to see what are your talents, what are your abilities, how far can you go? You will surprise yourself, because many times we don't move forward in life. It's because of fear. We don't move forward in life because of fear. Fear of the unknown. Many of us are afraid of success. You know, we feel comfortable being mediocre. We feel comfortable with routines that are given to us, not by ourselves, but by the broader society. The broader society, you know, indoctrinates you and gives you mathematics, reading, arithmetic, and science, or whatever. And they send you out in the world so that you can be a perfect worker bee for others who have created platforms, agencies, and societies not of your making. So they just fit you in like a cog in a perfect machine, and you be running on a wheel like a rat. You running real hard, sweating, you got muscles popping out, but you ain't moving nowhere. You just running on a wheel, around and around and around and around. You know, wake up every day, go to work, and then come home, eat, go to sleep, wake up the next day, go to work, come home, eat, go to sleep. Nah, that's not living. You are automaton. You're a cog in someone's machine. You're a drone. You're a serf. You're a slave, an economic slave. I don't want to be that. And I hope you don't want to be that neither. So let us keep on climbing and shining, baby. It's going to be a new year. It's going to be 2019. I hope everybody got their plans formulated, because I'm moving higher, baby. We got to work for ourselves. We got to be entrepreneurs. How many times you guys walk through your neighborhoods? And I'm talking about my brethren. I'm talking about my brothers. How many times y'all walk through your neighborhoods, and every store, every hole in the wall store selling socks, CDs, whatever, lattes, coffee, everything is owned by someone else. But you say this is your hood. This ain't your hood if everything is owned by somebody else. Come on, fam. You got the Dominicans, the Indians, the Africans. That's cool, you know. They always work for themselves. I give them their props. But all the 7-Elevens is owned by the Indians. All the gas station is owned by the Indians. All the bodegas is owned by Arabs or Dominicans or Spanish. But these are the neighborhoods that we inhabit. But when you go to the other neighborhoods, when you go to the white neighborhoods, everything owned by whites. You go to the Hispanic neighborhoods, everything owned by Hispanics. You go to the Chinese neighborhoods, everything owned by the Chinese. But our neighborhoods, everything is owned by everyone else except us. And then we ask ourselves why our young men out there stealing, hustling, knocking people upside their head, ripping pockets and all that, selling drugs and all. Because we have not set up an economic infrastructure to employ our people. Man, we got to do better than this. We have to do better than this. And I hope I'm not rambling. I hope y'all understand where I'm coming from. This was just on my heart to make this video or whatever, because it's 2019. And it's time that the black man get they self together. because no one is going to do it for us. We have no allies. We are black and we are here. It's Caribbean blacks, is mainland American blacks or African Americans, and there's continental Africans, and we all here. But yet we all look at each other as different. The West Indian look at the American as being somebody different just because he put different seasoning on his meat. Come on, man. We got to do better, man. We have to have a Pan-African approach. We all have to look at each other as one family. And now, in families you have cousins, you have uncles, you have far distance cousins. We all family. We all came from the same mother, and this mother was Mother Africa. And we got ripped from the arms of our mother and brought to the four corners of the earth. Some of us went to South America. Some of us went to the Caribbean. Other us went to the Americas, and some of us went to England and various islands. But we all family. I look at the West Indians as my southern cousins. I look at the Africans as my cousins from across the water. And we all have to have this same type of mentality so that we may build on a platform. Although you got different tribes in Africa. You got the Yorubas, the Igbos, the Hausas. You got all these different tribes, and you got all these different nationalities in the Caribbean. You got the Trinis, the Haitians, the St. Lucians, the Jamaicans. And then you have your brethren here in America, the African Americans. You got the Southern and Northern, Eastern and Western people of African American descent. We all one family. And we have to realize this, because our enemies are playing upon our division. And this is how they remain in power, by our ignorance. This is why they build economies off our stupidity. You got Indians owning Popeyes. They building a $1 million economy off our like of chicken. You got the Koreans. They got the hair industry. They making billions of dollars off our women's lust for bundles of hair, fake hair. Everybody getting paid, but the black man. And I get tired of that. So I've been on my grind. I don't know about y'all, but I've been on my grind, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to blow sooner or later. I'm very patient. I'm very patient, and I'm going to blow from the efforts of my work and determination. I don't want to work for others. I want to work for myself. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm hungry. You got to be hungry out here. In order for your people to be prosperous, you got to be builders and producers. You just can't be consumers. A consumer is a people who are primarily consume. They are what you call useless eaters. This is what European sociologists call people who are unproductive. They call them useless eaters. All they do is consume. They only consume the products that others make for them. The clothes, the foods. We got to get it together. We got to produce. And the black man is waking up, because if you go to Facebook and you type in "there is still good in the world," I've created a little page called "There is Still Good in the World." It's on Facebook. If you go to my Facebook page, black people are doing it. They are mathematicians. They sending satellites in space. They code, and they doing everything. But the European media keeps this information suppressed. So many of us don't know what's going on. All we think that we can do is play ball rap and rip pockets and engage in drug dealing and trap rapping. That's not the truth. Our people are doing it. We are mathematically gifted. We are artistically gifted. We have talents through the roof. But if they could make us lose faith and don't have confidence in ourselves, we can never realize those talents. I'm telling you now, black people, that you are talented. You can do anything that you put your mind to. It doesn't take a Barack Obama to make you believe in yourself. You have it in here. You have natural gifts and talents that you have to realize. But just like giving birth, to begin to understand your true self, you have to go through a painful transformation, because there are certain things that you have to realize. The process of growth through mental understanding, it takes time. So your brother, I've gone through it too. Because at one time I was asleep, I thought the white woman was the most beautiful and sublime thing that God had ever created. I thought the white man was the most powerful, that no one can beat him, that his war machine was impeccable. But then God gave me the knowledge and the wisdom. Books just start to appear before me about history, and I begin to read. History shows you everything that you need to know. Not just his story, but our story. Our story is considered a mystery or my story, because most people don't know it or understand it. So I begin to read about history, and I begin to understand how these people got into power, how they got so powerful. They never worked for it. They never worked for anything, but yet they telling you that you have to pull yourself up by the bootstraps. Everything that they got, they stole it. They robbed, they stole, they tricked, they bamboozled other people. Like the rest of the planet Earth, the people in the East, Africans and Asians, we lived by an honor system. So we thought that all the other people of the planet Earth lived by a similar system. So these people came in and they lied, they cheated, they stole, and we got bamboozled. And they stole land, they raped the land, they stole people, they stole animals. This is why, they call these people the devil. Because not only do they enslave men, they enslave animals as well. They have zoos dedicated to animals. They call the prison industrial complex a zoo as well. And they have men in cages. And they want to dominate nature. They want to dominate the waters. They want to dominate the skies. This is why they're called devils, because everything that they touch, they destroy. So I just want to say once again, a black family, I want y'all to continue to support each other. Buy black, think black, eat black, walk black, talk black. And I'm not saying it's just to be funny, but everybody is who they are. Everyone is who they are. They don't try to put on airs. They don't try to fake it. If you see the Asians, you see the Koreans, you see the Japanese, you see the Arabs, they are who they are. They're not trying to put on airs and trying to fake it. But they tell you as a black man, when you go into the business sector or whatever, or when you go into private industry, or when you're around people who are not of African descent, you have to act like you're white. You have to talk perfect English, standardized English. You have to pronounce your I's, and you have to say ask with the K, ask. But when you see the other people, when you see the Japanese, they can barely speak English, and they have their business. You ask them, where are your hair products? It's over there. It's over there. They could barely speak English. The Arabs too. They don't know where nothing at. You go in the Arab store, you ask them for a bar of soap. They point in annihilators. They point into soda. They don't know their asshole from their elbow. But they telling us as black people that we can't be ourselves. We have to be other people in order for us to be accepted. And you know our enemies don't accept us anyway. The only black man they accept is a black man who's fruity tooty, or who's Oreo, or a brainwashed Uncle Tom, a Sambo, or a brainwashed Aunt Jemima. But when you declare openly that you are proud to be black, you automatically become an enemy to them as well as those black people who are asleep. So sometimes you have to play the game, and you have to keep your mouth shut. You have to be a chameleon, and you have to blend in. You have to smile. You have to nod. You have to act like you agree with everything. But at the same time, you continue to build. You continue to move forward. You continue to get your platform together. Because it's not a crime for you to be industrious. It's not a crime for you to be a businessman. It's not a crime for you to be an entrepreneur. It's not a crime for you to want to work for yourself. But when you're around others who eat off of you, by your ignorance, they live prosperous lives eating off of you because you're not producing for yourself. It becomes a crime. When you want to work for yourself, they say, oh, we're trying to separate. We're militants. We're racist. If you're a black man, you can't be racist because racism is a system dominated by religion, education, entertainment, war, sex, economics. You understand? So it's a system. It's an organized system of thought, action, and culture. And racism permeates all those areas of people activity. We don't have a system where we can deny people housing, where we can deny people jobs, where we could deny people access to various areas where they can prosper. We don't have a system in place like that. We may look at white males and don't like them, but we don't have the power to stop them or our people, for that matter, from moving forward. So we are not racist. But those who have the power to stop you from being able to live, work, marry, and do various things that normal people do. They have a system in place, and it's called racism, because they can discriminate, alienate, isolate you, disenfranchise you, incarcerate you. They have all these systems in place that can do that. So know and understand, people. It's 2018. It's moving on to 2019. We as a people, we have to come together. We have to begin to buy from each other. We have to begin to love one another. We have to uplift one another. We must enlighten one another. We must teach one another. We must teach our babies. Our women must be taught. We must love each other. We must, the family must come back together. A family of man, a family of husband, wife, and children, not a family of two wives and children, or two husbands and children. That's their way. That's their way. That's not our way. Understand this, black family. This is your brother, Lasar. I'm on the rise, and I'm out. Peace.